We have not even been hearing from the Minister of State.
Yes, maybe that is part of the governance issues. Because you listen to the group, GMD was talking about briefing the president. I mean, we need to have a substantive minister. That will make the system, I think, more accountable. I mean, if you want to interrogate anybody, can you now easily interrogate the president? So
does it bring to the table? You know? I mean, I want to also quickly wrap up this issue of fuel scarcity, because we have another two major issues on our hand tonight. The issue of PIB.
Yes, it brings into focus the issue of PIB.
Because the executive need now to weigh in on this matter, because it looks so much that the committee in charge of PIB and the National Assembly are working on it. Phase one of it is down, and 2, 3, they've broken it down into about 3 or 4 phases.
Yes, they are working on it, but the speed is not satisfactory enough for a sector as strategic as the oil and gas sector. Even though we are talking about diversification of the economy, that sector is very critical, even to the diversification. We are not optimizing the potentials and opportunities in that sector. We don't have refineries. You have a policy regime rather than encourage setting up of refineries. The policy environment has been encouraging the setting up of tank farms. That is what is part of the crisis we have in the Apapa axis. We are building more tank farms. We don't have refineries. For a country that has been an oil-producing country for over 40 years. That is a sad commentary on the policy environment. And that is what we need to do, because there's a lot of jobs, investment and things to unlock in the oil and gas sector if the policy environment is right.
All right, let's quickly wrap this up, and let me bring into the conversation now the former chairman of YDP, Young Democratic Party, Mr. Ezekiel Inyetok, who joins us from our Abuja studio. Many thanks for coming on the program tonight. It's sad enough that some countries who do not even have as much oil under the soil as Nigeria, they live, survive, and they flourish with what they have. Nigeria has abundance of oil, yet our citizens go on the street looking for the fuel, and like Mr. Yusuf said here, the refineries are not even working. How do we get out of here quickly, Mr. Inyetok?
Thanks, Shane, for having me, and maybe Merry Christmas in advance. I think that it's high time that we as Nigerians wake up. My brother in the studio has talked about the governance, he has talked about the policies, but I would rather refer to your headlines, the politics. What's the politics? The first is that Christmas does not come by accident or by coincidence. The second is that we've gone through this route for a long time over the years. The third is that a man who wants to make a point and who is a reasonable person knows when to make the point to be heard loud and clear. And of all the seasons in this country, the Christmas season is one season where movement is most experienced. So if you have to make business with PMS, if you have to make a point with deregulation, if you have to make any sort of, this is a time for you to make that point. So I think that, number one, the people have not been proactive. You know, I took the pains of going an extra mile and looking for somebody, Mrs. Esther Namdi Ugu, you know, who was in charge of this section for a while. And I had to sit her down and say, what's going on? Why is it like this? Why wasn't it like this for some time? And she said, Christmas does not come by accident or by coincidence. So you preempt the people maybe a month or two before Christmas. You make sure that your stock is in place. Number two, you give the body language to the people that you will not tolerate any act of sabotage, because this is a time, if for a day or 2 or 3, you take the liberty to sell PMS at 200 naira instead of 145 per liter. Imagine the volume, the humongous amount of money you would have raked in. And then the issue is the administrators. What is the body language? You know, the first time we had the Minister of State promising, oh, within a day or two, it will be sorted out. And then after that, we now have the minister telling us that from January, things are going to be okay. Then we have Mr. President telling us very, very soon, all will be done. I expected that the red of the eyes of Mr. President would have been exposed to all the players, both the people that did not put in place preemptive measures and the people who are exploiting the situation, and maybe those who think that this is another way of job creation by getting boys on the street that are holding 4 liters and selling at 300 naira instead of 150 and making little money. The question is that sustainable, number one? And number two, what is the risk factor in it? Number three, how does it portray us as a nation before the international communities that you want to come into your country and invest? I think that the time has come when we must get into what we call cerebral governance. I've said this time and time again. All the politics we play with the lives of fellow Nigerians, these things have to come to an end.
All right. We need to take another.
When you have to realize that
we need to take another break now, and we will switch gears on some of the issues that we're discussing. Up next on the program, 4 million job losses between January and September. That's according to the National Bureau of Statistics. How do things get this back? We'll find out when we return.